Now, there are certain cinematic conventions that have held firm since the dawn of movies themselves and generally just are not broken, such as the fact that the end credits usually signal the conclusion of a movie's story, leaving the audience finally free to make their exit. I mean, sure, you might miss a sneaky credit scene if you get up immediately, but the main film categorically is over. That is, aside from those rare movies that dared to toy with the cinematic format and deliver early fake-out endings intended to keep audiences on their toes. And that's what we're talking about today. As I'm Jules, this is WhatCulture.com, and these are the 10 greatest fake-out endings in movies. Number 10, Vice. Adam McKay's relentlessly sarcastic Dick Cheney biopic Vice drops a credits fake-out at the end of its very first act that, despite McKay's typically irreverent tone, is wildly unexpected. At this point in the story, Cheney has served as Secretary of Defense under President George H.W. Bush, as sets him on a path to become George W. Bush's running mate during the 2000 US presidential election. But before that, McKay imagines an alternate future for Cheney, where he puts his political aspirations to the wayside and retires from public life to breed golden retrievers, where his noted health issues are also resolved, and he even competes in Ironman competitions around the world. It's at this point that even the most politically oblivious viewer likely realizes that something is kind of off, and just then the end credits roll to a triumphant, upbeat orchestral swell. A few seconds later, though, we hear Dick's phone ringing, and we're ripped out of this false finish and brought back to the rather bleaker reality of Cheney being invited to run alongside George W. It's brilliantly bold filmmaking, but oh so depressing. Number 9, Seven Psychopaths. Martin McDonagh's delirious black comedy Seven Psychopaths stars Colin Farrell as Marty, a screenwriter struggling to complete his script for the titular film, who puts out a call for actual psychopaths to contribute their stories to his screenplay. One who answers the ad is the serial killer Zachariah, who offers his tales on one condition: that Marty include his phone number in the movie's end credits for his former lover Maggie to see. At the film's end, Marty has completed his script and seemingly found inner peace, with the end credits rolling for about 15 seconds before they break down and dissolve, kind of like a damaged film reel. At this point, the film then continues, with Zachariah calling Marty to complain that he never included his phone number in the Seven Psychopaths credits. Despite Marty's insistence that he can have the credits changed, Zachariah considers having him killed before mulling it over and changing his mind. The credits then start back up again and play out uninterrupted. Number 8, The Simpsons Movie. Because bamboozling audiences with a nude Bart Simpson apparently wasn't enough, The Simpsons Movie also decided to pull the rug out from viewers at the end of its second act, with a delicious fake ending. Act 2 concludes with Homer finding a VHS message from Marge where she informs him that the family has left him due to his selfish behavior, with Marge even taping over their wedding video to hammer home the point. A distraught Homer then sets off in search of his family as we fade to black and a to be continued title card appears on the screen. It seemingly suggests that the audiences have been nickeled and dimed with a mere hour-long movie and will need to pony up again to see a sequel resolve everything. Thankfully, audiences didn't have long to get disgruntled, though, as a few seconds later the word immediately appears on screen and the expected third act begins. If you're going to make a movie based on a TV show, you may as well toy around with the conventions of the feature-length format, right? Number 7, Man on the Moon. Andy Kaufman biopic Man on the Moon begins in the most Andy Kaufman fashion imaginable, when the legendary comedian immediately breaks the fourth wall by directly informing the audience that this movie is stupid, terrible, and that he wishes it was better. He complains about his life being inaccurately depicted in the film for dramatic purposes and announces that he decided to cut out all of the baloney to make the movie much shorter, before adding that this now is the end of the movie. At that moment, he plays a record while the end credits roll, and after the entire cast and crew have been listed, he then slams the record player case shut and we abruptly cut to black. After a long pause, he returns and confesses that he pulled this trick to get rid of any audience members who wouldn't understand him, before then insisting the movie is actually great, and finally, it begins. Though having to watch the end credits roll and the rest of the movie be 2 hours of a black screen would have been perfectly on brand for the comedian, the studio and general audiences likely wouldn't have appreciated it quite as much. Number 6, The Lego Movie 2, the second part. Roughly 80 minutes into the second Lego Movie, it seems like the film is going to angle for a dark cliffhanger ending in the vein of, say, The Empire Strikes Back or Avengers Infinity War. But alas, the filmmakers instead decided to have a little fun with this trope, as when the Lego heroes, including Emmett and Wildstyle, Wildstyle get put in the bin of storage, the grim scene cuts to a seemingly final title card reading, "The End." After a few moments though, Wildstyle pipes up and assures the audience that the movie ain't over yet, saying this isn't one of those things with a downer cliffhanger ending, and the film then continues for another 25 or so minutes. It's just as well that the movie wasn't earnestly aiming for a cliffhanger ending though, considering it was one of the most unexpected box office bombs of the last few years and effectively killed the Lego Movie IP overnight. Number 5. Clue. 1985's classic adaptation of the board game Clue was utterly groundbreaking in one major respect, as Paramount decided to randomly send one of 3 filmed endings to cinemas around the globe. Audiences ended up seeing different endings, yet as ingenious a marketing conceit as it was, Clue received mixed reviews and was a box office bomb upon original release. When it came to home video, however, rather than simply picking one ending, the studio opted to include all 3 endings sequentially, and so after the first ending plays out, the action then suddenly pauses and a title card appears telling the audiences, here's what could have happened. Ending 2 is then shown before a second title card appears and tells the viewers that the third ending that they're about to see is what really happened. It's quite brilliant really, and while Clue may not have been a major success in its own time, it's endured for almost 40 years as a cult classic. Number 4. The Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King. Anyone who saw The Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King in the cinema will surely remember the absolutely maddening experience of believing the film was about to end numerous times before it finally did. Director Peter Jackson delivers an ending running almost 30 minutes in length, in which the film appears to end at least 4 times before it actually does. First off, Jackson deploys a lengthy fade to black when Frodo and Sam have destroyed the ring, and then another fade at the end of the iconic bed scene, another prolonged transition after Aragorn is crowned king, an ending baiting fade as Frodo stares at Sam during his wedding, a fade to white after Frodo departs from Middle-earth, and finally, it ends for good with Sam and his family at the Shire. It's all great material, of course, even if there are fair arguments to be made that it's just too much. Anyone who saw the movie upon release will likely recall the swathes of people repeatedly readying themselves to leave the cinema, only to then have to sit back down for another bladder-bursting epilogue scene. Number 3. One Cut of the Dead. Japanese zombie comedy One Cut of the Dead is one of the most creative horror movies you will ever see. The film begins with a staggering 37-minute single-take sequence in which the cast and crew of the titular zombie movie are attacked by a real undead horde. At the conclusion of this sequence, the film's title appears on screen and the end credits then suddenly roll. But One Cut of the Dead isn't a mere short film, and after this, the scene then shifts back in time, with the rest of the movie detailing the making of this 37-minute film that we've just watched. This culminates in a delirious finale that shows the real film crew filming the cast and crew of the 37-minute film as they've pulled it off, offering a hilarious alternate perspective and revealing how certain aspects of the film came to be. It's an ingenious feat of Russian nesting doll cinema that's utterly bewildering and endlessly inventive, and for anyone who went into the movie without knowing its big first twist, that end of first act's credits really threw them way off. Number 2. Wayne's World. While the Wayne's World movies don't go quite as far as rolling the credits, both movies nevertheless served up some categorically insane fake-out endings. Initially, the first film seems to climax with everything going horribly wrong for Wayne and Garth. Wayne gets dumped by Cassandra, and then she runs off with producer Benjamin, and he finds out that his ex, Stacy, is pregnant with his kid, and then Wayne's house burns down, killing Garth. But just as all hope appears to be lost, Wayne and Garth slide back into frame and smash the fourth wall, directly addressing the audience as they announce a do-over of the movie's ending, opting instead for a Scooby-Doo parody in which Benjamin is revealed to be an old man in disguise. But it doesn't end there. Wayne and Garth then decide to restart everything again, and this time delivering a mega happy ending in which everyone, even Benjamin, comes out of it in a good place. Now, before we go into our number 1 pick, just know that there are spoilers for Everything Everywhere All at Once, in case you hadn't seen it. And number 1, Everything Everywhere All at Once. To reiterate, if you've not seen this film, definitely do so before watching this. Seriously, it's that good. Roughly 85 minutes into the 140-minute multiversal masterpiece, protagonist Evelyn battles villain Jobu's various minions before the sequence culminates in the death of Alpha. In the Alphaverse, and Evelyn's mind then overloads. As Alpha tries to wake Evelyn and Jobu walks off, the movie suddenly smash cuts to a closing title reading The End in simple white on black text, before running a series of end credits which list the film's real director directors, the Daniels. A clue to what's going on quickly appears when Evelyn herself is listed as one of the film's producers, and after a beat, we pull out to reveal that we're actually at a movie premiere, and these credits are from a film that another version of Evelyn, who became an actress, has starred in. If you didn't know the movie's runtime before sitting down to watch it though, this might have made your heart skip a beat or two, that the Daniels had committed to such an abrupt and rather downbeat ending. And there we go, my friends. Those were the 10 greatest fake-out endings in movies. I hope that you enjoyed that, and please let me know what you thought about it down in the comments section below. As always, I've been Jules. You can go follow me over on Twitter at RetroJ with a 0, or you can swing over to Instagram where I'm at RetroJ with a 0 as well. I know, synergy, branding, what am I like? But before I go, I'd just like to say one thing. This is not a fake-out ending, and I hope that you don't skip this bit, because all I want for you, my friend, listening to this right now, is to have a good day. I hope that you treat yourself with love and respect, because you deserve those things. And I know I keep banging on about it, but it is true. You deserve love, happiness, and success. We all do as humans, all right? So go out there with love in your heart for yourself and your neighbor, and let's build some bridges instead of burning them, okay? Now go out there and smash it, you big ledge. As always, I've been Jules. You have been awesome. Never forget that, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.